Well, congratulations again to Springbuk as our SaaS industry customer of the year. With logistics, James and team could not make it to transform this year. So we're very fortunate to be able to pre-record this and be able to share a whole bunch of James's stories. So first off, James, congratulations to you. Some great competition out there. But you guys did such amazing work that I want to be able to share with everybody. Let's just start with who is Springbuk, a little bit of who is James.
Now, Springbuk provides employers and their advisors with the ability to use insights from their health data to lower costs and optimize their benefit offerings for employees. What I am at Springbuk, I'm the CFO. I oversee accounting, finance, legal, human resources, and our business systems teams. And I just, on behalf of all of Springbuk, we're incredibly honored to be the 2022 Customer of the Year. So thank you very much.
Of course. And it's the success of you is also built on the space that you're in, solving the problems for insurers, and then the differentiation that you guys have put into what the product is, including with machine learning in order to get that capability. It's a really innovative business. And what we want to do is apply the 5 tips that we talked about earlier in the presentation to how Springbuk evolved, because they're an excellent model about being thoughtful and strategic in what it is you're going to do. And let's start with the beginning on the process maturity lifecycle. Where were you when you originally had to think about, we got to make an upgrade to the system, and then where are you today?
Yeah, we were very much on the Series A line in our decision making as we were moving to implement Sage Intacct. And as we began using the tool, we realized it had so much capabilities for us that today we're sitting on the Series C to F line where we are focused on growing a business in a predictable, profitable, and repeatable way. We focus so heavily on our customers, making sure they're successful using our software tool and making sure it's mission critical in their day-to-day business, that we ultimately want to make sure that they are successful in using our software product. That's why retention is such a key focus for us. And it's something our FP&A team focuses a lot on. How do we forecast new business growth, retention, so that our customers are happy and our business is growing? And Intacct has really been a tool for how we can make sure we're growing and growing profitably as well.
Yeah, it shows you guys are a classic representation on getting traction in the marketplace and then having to scale everything up in order to accomplish an attack and maximize your ability to execute against that opportunity. So let's jump here to the third point on applying some of this. What did you go about doing in order to, on the second point, to know your billing use case?
We have 2 billing use cases at Springbuk with our 2 main customer personas, and we've been able to automate both of those billing use cases with Sage Intacct. Our first persona, a health insurance broker, is a key go-to-market channel for us that involves a lot of contract lines and a lot of data, and ultimately that means a lot of monthly billing, invoices, and revenue recognition. With the 4,000 customers you saw on the slide a couple ago, it's important that we have a scalable and automated way that we can make sure we're billing, recognizing revenue, and making sure that we have all the right data for forecasting going forward. Our second persona, selling directly to large self-insured employers, is it's a longer sales cycle, and it also means that longer contracts, lesser number of billings, sometimes an annual billing up front, but still at the very key fundamentals for us is making sure those processes are automated so that our team can scale those contracts appropriately in our system.
Yeah, and I think on top of all that, a compelling point is how much you worked with your peers and that leader in trying to drive awareness of what is the value you're trying to bring to the customer, how is that captured in the product, and then for the sales team to understand how the different ways of doing billing and then revenue recognition impacts the ability to accrue revenue, and doing that as a team and being thoughtful so you can attack both customer segments, because that leads us into the point number 3 on this is knowing your revenue recognition scenario. How did you go about doing that and then communicating the impact of it to your peers?
It was a really key process of ours to make sure that from Salesforce opportunity, integrating our Salesforce into Intacct, all the way through to billing, that we made sure all the data flowed seamlessly and that the key stakeholders along the way were aware of it. It was important for us, again, going back to the size and scale, the number of contracts and contract lines that we have, we needed a scalable solution to limit manual work. The other key for us is making sure we're ASC 606 compliant from a GAAP accounting perspective. So really important that all the data flowed seamlessly, it limited manual work, and that we were appropriately recognizing revenue in accordance with standards.
Yeah, and it's again, by working with your chief revenue officer, not everyone's aware of the impact on how a choice in a sales cycle can impact the fundamentals and the financials of the company. And working together as a team, you put an even more fluid process and scalable process in place, beginning with the end in mind early on to do that. Which leads us into point four. As you went through that process maturity life cycle, there was some information you needed early. There's more as you get later. How did you be thoughtful in your tech stack on where your data is coming from for reporting?
It's so important that you understand where your data is coming from so that you can generate the insights you need to make business decisions. On top of that, it's important that you can do that in a timely fashion. For us, as we implemented Sage Intacct and have scaled it across our business, it's allowed us to automate reporting, and ultimately we've cut our close process 73% because of it. It's so key for us to be able to get information out of the system, cascade that to decision makers so that we're thinking about where the business is going, not where the business has been.
Yeah, and so thoughtful with a great set of investors to anticipate what's necessary because you have two different billing models that
Mhm.
you need to have the data from in order to influence. And being thoughtful and setting that structure up and using us as that central system of record, but tying other things in order to scale on top of that. Just it shows in the results and the proactiveness that you have in your decision making. So let's move on to point five, which is, gosh, the bane in so many people's jobs is anticipating exceptions in the selling process. Because you were thoughtful up front, how have you been able to head that off?
Yeah, it goes back to working with those stakeholders across the business again. Your sales team members, your customer success team, and ultimately how that information flows to accounting and finance is really important so that everyone's on the same page. We've created a scalable process internally so that those exceptions flow through all of those teams, are documented, and then on the accounting and finance team specifically, we're ensuring that Intacct can meet those exceptions if there are any in our process.
Yeah. And being coordinated and having that shared consciousness as a team to have people understand it instead of it being a conflict of interest that finance is the deal prevention team because there's that planning up front. There's a lot more cogent and teaming in order to win the business. And again, you see that in the traction in the marketplace that you have. How about on our 6 point compliance? Being thoughtful up front heads off problems there. How did you go about doing that?
For us, the key driver of a decision was the need for an annual financial statement audit and knowing that we needed a tool like Sage Intacct to allow us to do that. As we continue to grow our business and generate other opportunities for compliance improvements with sales and use tax, internal controls, Intacct continue to meet those needs for us as well. We have an integration with Avalara that helps us ensure we're using all of our sales and use tax requirements and meeting those appropriately. And we've been successful in 4 straight years of having an unqualified audit opinion thanks to our use of Sage Intacct.
It's amazing. The infrastructure in place, the scalability there, and then to do it right is incredible. Pulling together of how this whole checklist works. So let's jump ahead to like the SaaS metrics. As you guys have, as the team and the folks have evolved, what's key of the metrics that you use in order to guide and run the business?
There are 3 key metrics that we focus on. One is just that annual recurring revenue and understanding how much revenue is flowing onto the income statement on a monthly basis and ultimately flowing down into cash flow. For us as well, I talked about it earlier, our software tool is mission critical for our customers so that net revenue and gross revenue retention metrics are key for us in understanding the value that our customers are getting out of our tool who are renewing their contracts. Lastly, on and what may be a little bit more of a surprising metric is day sales outstanding. In today's macroeconomic environment, knowing that your cash is coming in and that it's coming in a timely fashion with when you're sending out invoices is key from a cash flow standpoint. It's important to know that metric and to make sure you're meeting the goal that we have set internally at Springbuk as an executive team. So those are the 3 metrics we really focus on.
Yeah, and it's great because you built that shared consciousness across the leaders across the entire company so they know where things stand. Product can see what is happening with retention and churn and net dollar retention, and guide that so decisions on product aren't just made in a vacuum. They're made in the context of what do we think is going to get the best economic value for ourselves and deliver the most value for our customers. And this slide kind of pulls it all together. We're not going to read this because we covered a lot of it, but I want to point out two key things: that everything you went about in applying the 5 steps have led to 2 real big material business outcomes. One of them is through automation and insights across the organization, people being a lot more thoughtful and engaged in order to improve churn or reduce churn 7%. Do you mind just sharing a little bit more context on that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. As we wrapped our arms around all the different contracts we had as we were implementing Sage Intacct, we realized that there was an opportunity to ensure that we weren't missing any renewal opportunities, or that the manual processes that we had in place before were improved by automating how we were generating renewals into Salesforce from Sage Intacct. That was a key differentiator for us in identifying all the renewals that we had at play and making sure that they were getting taken care of to improve churn.
And this, jumping down here, with everybody having the insights of what's happening, the ability to be thoughtful in planning out in the budget versus forecast to invest so that you're able to improve gross margin 8%. Would you share with everybody a little more context on that one?
This was a key business decision of ours to move from having an outsourced third party doing some really key and differentiating work that we now do for customers today in-house. We were able to see what the financial impact would be by changing that decision, and it's had a material impact on our business, saving over time millions of dollars for us, and ultimately leading to stronger NPS scores with our customers as well.
That's great. I want to say thank you to all of our customers for being our customers, all of you, and certainly the other nominees that went here to be finalists for this, and then Springbuk. And I hope all of you can see just the competence and confidence that James and team have and how they built a great ongoing business, and having finance lead the way with a tech stack that produces the data they need for big decision making. James, any final thoughts?
No, just thank you again. It's an honor to be considered for this award. So from all of Springbuk, we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.